From here to the moon and back, who else in this world will love you like that? Love everlasting, I promise you that. From here to the moon and back. From here to the moon and back. I want you to know you can always depend on promises made and love.
Do you have a medical concern or perhaps a question or a situation that you think a retired nurse could help you with? Email me to the email you see on your screen. If you want to be anonymous, please let me know in the email and I'll see what I can do.
From here to the moon and back.
Good morning, you beautiful souls. As you know, those of you who follow my channel, I am celebrating Dolly Parton this month because her birthday is January 19th, in which she will be 78. Today, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's disease because Dolly Parton herself does not have Alzheimer's, thank God, but she is dealing with the fact that her husband does. Okay? Because I found this out because I wanted to go to one of her concerts, and I'm like, hey, when is Dolly Parton in concert again? Well, she's taking time off because her husband has dementia, specifically Alzheimer's disease, so much so, it's progressed so much that he does not recognize his wife of 57 years. He does not recognize Dolly Parton. So she's taking some time off to care for him, which I think is, of course, the right thing to do, a loving thing to do. And, Dolly Parton is such a wonderful person that I thought I would bring this presentation to you and talk about Alzheimer's. Because maybe a loved one in your life, maybe you're dealing with Alzheimer's. I know I'm dealing with dementia with my neighbor. But before I start talking about our topic today, there's basically let me tell you, you might not know, there's over 100 types of dementia, okay? Over 100 types of dementia. Now, what is dementia? That's a general term for a decline in memory, reasoning, or other thinking skills. But the 4 common types of dementia in America today is Alzheimer's disease, which is a specific brain disease in which you can no longer remember certain things. You can no longer reason. You can no longer have thinking skills. This is why Dolly Parton's husband does not recognize her, right? Because he has Alzheimer's, which is one form of dementia. And Alzheimer's gets progressively worse over time. And eventually the person passes away from complications due to Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's accounts for 60 to 80% of the top 4 dementia cases, or of all the dementia cases, of which there are over 100, right? So Alzheimer's is definitely the most common dementia. But there's also vascular dementia, where the person has trouble, it's basically brain damage due to a reoccurrence of strokes. Okay, that's vascular dementia. You may or may not have known that. And then we have Lewy bodies dementia, which affects the person's ability to move and to think. All right, that's Lewy body dementia. Then that also affects the person's mood. All right, and then we have frontal temporal dementia, which affects the person's behavior. What else does it affect? It affects their behavior, frontal learning, right? Behavior, language, right? Those types of things. So we have Alzheimer's, vascular, Lewy body, and frontal temporal. Those are the top 4 types of dementia. But let's talk specifically about Alzheimer's. What is Dolly Parton experiencing with her husband? Or maybe your loved one is experiencing with yourself. The more you know about Alzheimer's, the more we can help our loved ones, right? So let's talk a little bit about the signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's dementia. So please direct your attention to the top left of your screen, the little blue box. The person starts to withdraw from social activities. Now, I can't speak for Dolly Parton's husband because obviously I've never met the man, I don't know him, nor do I know, for that matter, Dolly Parton, right? So let me just use my neighbor as an example, all right? So what he started doing was he just stopped going out of the house. We used to go play cards at the local club, and he stopped doing that, right? So he stopped playing cards, he stopped going grocery shopping, he stopped going out, right? So they withdraw from social activities. My question is your loved one starting to do that? They have confusion with time or location. I know my neighbor comes to my house and at 1 o'clock in the morning, he's knocking on the door. Hey, what do you got to eat? I say, Tom, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. He says, oh, I thought it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And he does that quite often, right? So he may, I know he has Alzheimer's, but, they have to formally diagnose him, right? So they have confusion with time and location. They have difficulty completing familiar tasks, all right? I know I have to help Tom write out his bills, all right? He doesn't remember how to write a check out, right? He signs his name, he writes out the amount, and he says, I'll let you finish the rest. Why? Because he doesn't remember how to write a check, right? So they have difficulty completing familiar tasks. He does misplace, look at the bottom here in the blue, misplace items. Do you? Now, I'm not talking about you misplacing your keys and then finding your keys and running off to work. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about always misplacing items. Tom is constantly misplacing his identification. He's constantly misplacing his whatever it is, his mail, right? Whatever it is. He'll be carrying it 1 minute, put it down, and lose it, right? And totally lose whatever he has in his hand. So, is your loved one constantly misplacing items? Constantly. Does your loved one have difficulty solving problems? I know Tom used to love to do puzzles. For those of you who followed my channel way back in the beginning, remember when I used to have Tom on and he used to do puzzles? He doesn't do those puzzles anymore. Why? because he has difficulty solving problems. He has difficulty solving does this piece fit with this piece? He has problems with puzzles, so he stopped doing that. And of course, memory loss. Okay, he's constantly asking me what day it is. He doesn't know whether he ate this morning. I have to help feed him. So basically, if he knocks on my door and wants something to eat, I always feed him. Why? Because he doesn't remember if he ate or not. So people with Alzheimer's need help with their ADLs, activities of daily living. And this is why Dolly Parton took off her tour, her concerts, so that she can help her husband with his activities of daily living, because they forget how to do that. They forget to do the simplest things. People with Alzheimer's have difficulty with words. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who has schizophrenia, who has word salad, right, where they just have verbal diarrhea, right? No, and they don't make any sense. I'm talking about, does your loved one have difficulty speaking a word? Do they forget words? And this will come in the form of I can't remember the word. I forgot the word, right? Oftentimes they can't remember a word, so they'll stumble. So, and then you say a word and they'll say, that's it. You know what I'm saying? People with Alzheimer's do that a lot. We all do that. But people with Alzheimer's do that more so than others. People with Alzheimer's have trouble with images and spaces, okay? Like, they'll look in the mirror and they won't realize how close they are to the mirror, right? Or they might walk into a door, right? And we all do that, right? We're looking at our phone, so we might walk into a sign. Okay, I'm not talking about that. If you notice your loved one constantly walking into the corner of a door, or constantly having trouble with spatial perception, right? Maybe they might invade your private space, right? Maybe they might be getting too close to you. You know, I know Tom was getting so close to me, I'm like, Tom, could you stop breathing? Because he was invading my intimate space. But people with Alzheimer's have trouble with spatial perception. Okay? And of course, they have poor judgment. I will tell you that Tom cannot drive from point A to point B without getting lost. Last time Tom was at the bank, he ran into somebody with his vehicle and lost his bumper. Somehow, he did not hurt the other person's car, but he lost his bumper. So I'm making sure he doesn't drive anymore, all right? Because he's got poor judgment. He makes poor life choices, right? And then they have unfounded emotions. They get upset about everything too quickly. Out of nowhere, Tom will threaten me, physically threaten me, tell me to shut up or he'll hit me. So they have unfounded emotions. He, for example, gave me his bank card the other day and asked me to order him some food. And then he says to me, and when you get the food, make sure you give it to me. And I said, Tom, I always give you your food. And he says, I don't believe you, right? So that's an unfounded emotion. For some reason, he got upset with me, right? when he threatens me, he gets upset with me. These are unfounded emotions. These are all signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's. So I want you to think about your loved one. Is your loved one showing any of these symptoms of Alzheimer's? Maybe it's like every now and again. When Tom first started showing symptoms of Alzheimer's, I thought that he was just doing it for convenience. Because, he's not always the nicest of guys. He's not always a nice guy. He really isn't. So I asked him a question and he'd say, "Oh, I forget." But over the years, like the past 5 years, he kept coming into my house for no reason, telling me he forgot that I told him this. And then I finally realized one day, because he came in my house, he went in my fridge, took whatever he wanted, helped himself to the food in the crock pot. And I'm like, "Tom, what are you doing in my house?" And he said, "I don't know." He was looking through my stuff. He was looking for gifts that I was buying people for Christmas presents. He was actually looking through them. I said, "Tom, why are you going through my stuff?" He says, "Because it's there." I said, "What are you doing in my house?" "I don't know." So think about this. Is your elderly loved one exhibiting any or all of these signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's? Now, I'm going to end the video here because, really we could go on and do a whole 8-hour presentation on Alzheimer's and dementia. But let's keep Dolly in our prayers. Let's keep your loved one in our prayers, right? If you have any further questions, you can email me. In closing, I just want to, you'll probably have a question about how it's treated. There's really nothing we can do about dementia. We can diagnose it, right? So that's diagnosed through an EEG, an electroencephalogram, and through MRIs. Okay, so it's an MRI and electroencephalogram. Those two tests. Then the neurologist, after he gets those two tests and looks at the pictures of your loved one's brain, he'll tell you a little bit about your illness, and then he'll give you some medications to help with memory loss, to slow it down. But there really is no cure for dementia. So as we close, keep Dolly in your prayers. If you would like prayer, put a message in the comments, and of course I'll pray for you when I do the morning devotion. Okay? God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.